In 1959, a young French cook named Jacques Pépin stood over a kettle of clam chowder big enough to bathe in. His job was to make 3,000 gallons taste exactly the same in Maine as in Florida. That was the secret of Howard Johnson's. Not the famous orange roof, but the food. Today, most people remember the orange roofs, the roadside signs, and the family road trips. What they don't remember is the menu. At its peak, Howard Johnson's wasn't just another restaurant chain. It was America's most trusted place to eat on the highway. Families knew exactly what they would get no matter where they stopped. The company became famous for quality, consistency, and surprisingly ambitious food. Some of those dishes have vanished so completely that younger generations have never even heard of them. From colonial desserts to legendary seafood, these are 8 forgotten Howard Johnson's menu items that disappeared forever. Number 8. Corn Toasties. Long before breakfast sandwiches took over America, Howard Johnson's offered something called Corn Toasties. They looked simple enough, small golden griddle cakes made from cornmeal batter, but they were unlike anything sold today. Crisp around the edges and soft in the center, they arrived hot from the griddle with melting butter and syrup. The slight sweetness of the corn mixed perfectly with the richness of the butter. For families heading out before sunrise, Corn Toasties were fast, filling, and comforting. They provided a warm breakfast without the weight of a full diner meal. Children loved them because they tasted somewhere between cornbread and pancakes. When Howard Johnson's discontinued its frozen food division, Corn Toasties quietly disappeared. Today, most Americans have never heard the name, let alone tasted one. An entire category of roadside breakfast simply faded into history. Number 7. Welsh Rarebit. If you asked most Americans under 50 to explain Welsh Rarebit, you'd probably get a blank stare. Yet for decades it was one of Howard Johnson's most beloved comfort foods. The dish was essentially a sophisticated version of cheese on toast. Sharp cheddar cheese was melted with beer and Worcestershire sauce until it became a thick, creamy topping. The sauce was then poured over toasted bread and often accompanied by crispy bacon and fresh tomato slices. It sounds unusual today, but customers adored it. The rich cheese, smoky bacon, and crunchy toast created a combination that was deeply satisfying. Kids ordered it because it sounded grown up. Adults ordered it because it reminded them of home. Modern menus are packed with loaded fries, burgers, and nachos, but Welsh Rarebit has largely disappeared. Howard Johnson's helped keep the dish alive for decades. Once the chain faded away, Welsh Rarebit faded with it. Number 6. Indian Pudding. Few desserts tell the story of early America quite like Indian pudding. This dish dates back hundreds of years, long before the United States even existed. Colonists adapted traditional English puddings using cornmeal, molasses, milk, cinnamon, and ginger. The result was a slow-baked dessert with a rich, comforting flavor unlike anything else. Howard Johnson's proudly kept Indian pudding on the menu long after most restaurants abandoned it. Served warm with a scoop of vanilla ice cream slowly melting across the top, it offered a perfect contrast between hot and cold. The molasses added depth, while the spices created a flavor that felt especially comforting during colder months. The dessert required patience. It couldn't be rushed. And that's exactly why it disappeared from most modern kitchens. In an age of instant desserts and frozen treats, Indian pudding became a relic. Yet for countless Howard Johnson's customers, it remains one of the most memorable desserts they ever tasted. Number 5. Chicken Croquettes. Chicken croquettes represented a kind of cooking that has almost vanished from American restaurants. The process was surprisingly labor-intensive. Cooked chicken was finely minced and mixed into a thick cream sauce. The mixture was chilled, shaped by hand, coated in breadcrumbs, and fried until golden brown. The result was magical. The outside shattered with a satisfying crunch, while the inside remained creamy, rich, and flavorful. Served with mashed potatoes and gravy, chicken croquettes transformed humble ingredients into something special. For decades, they were common in diners, restaurants, and home kitchens across America. Today, they are rarely seen. Modern menus favor chicken tenders, nuggets, and sandwiches because they are easier to prepare and cheaper to serve. But anyone who remembers Howard Johnson's croquettes will tell you there is simply no comparison. Number 4. The Frankfurt Howard Johnson's didn't serve hot dogs. At least, That's not what they called them. They served frankfurts. And according to loyal customers, there was a difference. The sausage was grilled until the skin developed a satisfying snap. It was then placed inside a traditional New England split-top roll. Unlike ordinary hot dog buns, these rolls were buttered on the sides and grilled until golden brown. The result was remarkable. Every bite delivered a combination of buttery bread, crispy edges, and juicy sausage. It elevated one of America's simplest foods into something memorable. Many former customers spent decades trying to recreate the experience at home. Some came close. Most failed. The secret wasn't just the sausage. It was the entire preparation. Today, the classic Howard Johnson's Frankfurt exists mostly in memory. Number 3. New England Clam Chowder. This wasn't just another bowl of soup. It was one of the dishes that helped define the entire Howard Johnson's brand. The company became famous for serving consistent chowder across hundreds of locations. Whether you ordered it in Massachusetts, Ohio, or Florida, the flavor remained virtually identical. That achievement wasn't accidental. In the early 1960s, Howard Johnson's hired celebrated French chefs Pierre Frany and Jacques Pépin to help refine its recipes. Pépin later described the challenge of producing thousands of gallons of chowder while maintaining perfect quality. The finished product was rich, creamy, and loaded with clams and potatoes. Every spoonful delivered warmth and comfort. For travelers escaping cold weather or long drives, a bowl of Howard Johnson's chowder felt almost therapeutic. Many restaurants still serve clam chowder today. Few achieve the consistency that made Howard Johnson's version legendary. Number 2. The clam roll. Before lobster rolls became famous nationwide, New Englanders had another seafood favorite, the clam roll. Howard Johnson's version featured tender fried clams piled into a buttery split-top roll. The bread was lightly grilled, creating a crisp exterior that contrasted beautifully with the soft seafood inside. Simple ingredients combined to create something unforgettable. This sandwich wasn't fancy. It wasn't complicated. It was simply delicious. Families heading to beaches throughout New England often grabbed clam rolls before continuing their journeys. They became a symbol of summer vacations, coastal towns, and carefree afternoons. As Howard Johnson's locations disappeared, the clam roll largely retreated back into regional seafood shacks. Outside New England, many people don't even know it exists. That's a shame, because few sandwiches capture the flavor of a place quite so perfectly. Number 1. Tender sweet fried clams. This is the dish that built the Howard Johnson's empire. If there is one menu item most former customers remember, it's the tender sweet fried clam. Howard Johnson became obsessed with perfecting fried clams. He worked closely with suppliers in Ipswich, Massachusetts, to develop a preparation method unlike anything competitors offered. The innovation was simple but important. The darker, tougher parts of the clam were removed, leaving only the sweetest and most tender portions. Those pieces were lightly battered and fried until golden brown. The result was extraordinary. The exterior remained crisp, while the inside stayed juicy and flavorful. There was no bitterness, no toughness, and no grit, just sweet clam flavor. People traveled specifically to eat them. Families ordered them every summer. For many customers, the fried clams were Howard Johnson's. Even today, decades after the chain's decline, former patrons still describe them as the best fried clams they ever tasted. That's a remarkable legacy for a single menu item. At its peak, Howard Johnson's operated nearly 1,000 restaurants across America. The orange roof wasn't just a sign, it was a promise. It promised clean dining rooms, dependable service, and food that tasted exactly as customers remembered. Eventually, fast food grew faster, tastes changed, and the chain slowly disappeared. The final Howard Johnson's restaurant closed in 2022, ending nearly a century of history. But the memories remain. The Corn Toasties, the Welsh Rarebit, the Indian pudding, the Frankfurt, the legendary clam chowder, and those unforgettable fried clams. They weren't just menu items. They were part of family vacations, summer road trips, and childhood memories shared by millions of Americans. And for those who remember them, the orange roof still stands somewhere in the distance, promising one more great meal just down the highway.